Hi guys, Gary Elliott here. I'm making this little video. You may be wondering why you're looking at the outside of a closed tub. The video I'm going to make is a feeding video. Now I've seen recently a few guys on some of the forums who are having trouble getting their neonate baby green tree pythons to eat. And so I thought I'd make a video showing a couple of the techniques that I've learned to get them feeding. I've got 17 babies and 16 of them strike feed no problem. This last one here is one that still needs tease feeding, so I wanted to show the technique of how I get them to do that, because I think a lot of people struggle with it. I mean, it's all fine and well reading books about it and reading posts about it, but it's a very difficult thing to learn from just that. And I think what a lot of those papers miss out is the fact that all babies are individuals and they all react in different ways. But I wanted to show you a couple of techniques now. I've bred arrow green tree pythons, which are notoriously difficult to get to strike, and the majority of them were very difficult to entice to strike. Out of the other 16, there is one of them that won't strike at food, actually just takes it via the scent. The rest of them, if you provoke them, they will bite. This last one was assist fed for a long time because it simply refused to strike. But then over time I would catch him hunting, so I knew that he was willing to feed himself. It's just getting everything to come together and work well. Now, like we say, the premise of tease feeding babies is to provoke a reaction. You want them to strike and you want them to bite, and hopefully in doing that you will get them to hold on to the food long enough to eat it. Now I think it's important to be able to get them to strike, but I think most importantly when you're feeding baby green tree pythons and getting them to strike out is to get them to strike consistently, and more importantly predictably. Now a lot of people can get the babies striking but still can't get them to feed, and I think a big part of that is not knowing exactly when the baby's going to strike and where it's going to go. And like I say, all babies are individual, so it's, I'm not going to tell you do this and your baby's going to feed. I don't know your babies. Hopefully you know, or you will learn to know what gets reactions from some babies and not from others. Some of my babies would only strike if you touch them on the back, some on the outside coils when they were in the S position, some of them around the tail they would go for, some of them liked it bumped on the nose, or didn't like it bumped on the nose, so they would strike out. But yeah, I think it's really important to get them striking predictably, so you know when it's going to come, and the pinky can be properly positioned so that when the baby strikes that pinky, it's going to hit it on the head, preferably headlong on, so that when the mouth opens to strike, the pinky head ends up as far back in the mouth as possible, and that'll give you the best chance of them not dropping it. I've got some chick down up here that I'll be using. I think sometimes people misuse chick down and they think it's going to be something that suddenly makes the babies recognise the pinkies as food, and that's not the case. The reason why we use it is that once you've got the baby striking and striking consistently, if they persistently drop the pinky, it sort of encourages them to hold on just that little bit longer. And once the baby's held on, if you can get them to hold on to the pinky, your chances of them swallowing it go up exponentially. So I wanted to show a couple of techniques that I've used, because I think people have this habit of, when they are tease feeding babies, to go in, bully them with the pinky a bit and wait for strikes. And in my experience, which granted is quite limited, this is the first year I've bred green tree pythons, in my experience that can have exactly the opposite effect of what you want it to. it can make them shy away, and when you do get strikes they tend to be inconsistent and unpredictable, and that's what you want to avoid. So a technique that I've sort of been working with is to build up in stages, and I'll show you what I mean as we go in now. What I like to do is open up the cage, address the animal with the pinky and give them a break for a few moments, then go in again. And then any motions or movements that look aggressive from the animal, I try not to jump on them and get them to repeat it straight away. I tend to give them a break. And the reason why I do that is because I think that if the animal feels threatened and you keep pushing, it has a negative effect. And I think that if you get any kind of aggressive response and then give a little bit of a break, it makes the animal feel like that's giving it the upper hand, that's working for it, you know, oh hey, he goes away when I do this. And those effects can be accumulative, you know, in both ways. If the animal consistently shies away and you give up too soon, that's what the animal thinks works for it. Hiding works. On the flip side, if you can get a strike and build that up, the animal thinks that that's what's working for it and that's what you really want. Even if the baby doesn't feed, if you're getting to the point of it where you're frustrated and you're going to give up, aim for getting that at least one strike, or you know, that one last strike before you give up. Close it up, finish on a positive note. So anyway, enough waffle. I've got a pinky sat in some hot water, and by the way, I don't know how this video is going to go. It could make me look like a total jackass, but in any case, here's the baby. Okay, now I've opened up the tub, I've got the pinky, and I'm just going to present it to his face. Not much of a reaction, a little bit of a tongue flick there, which is a good thing, you know, you want them to smell it. Let's give him a little touch with it. There's a tongue flick. You can see he started to breathe a little bit heavily. I'll close him up, I'll leave him for a few moments. Next time I go in, I'll try and get him to move a little bit more and then go away. And I found what's worked for me, rather than just straight up trying to get them to fight back, is trying to get the animals on edge. And that's a term I've been using quite a lot recently, is on edge. I think the animals that are on edge, when you approach them when they're on edge, you're more likely to get the strike that you want. And there's this little technique that I've been using to do that once I've got the animals striking in, and especially if they're striking a little bit inconsistently, is before I do anything with the pinky, I'll actually blow in the face. It sounds a little bit odd, I know, but it makes them recoil a little bit, and they sit back on the perch. They don't quite know what it is. This blast of cold air is hitting them in the face and it gets them on edge, and I find that when I approach them next time with the hot pinky, it has generally quite good results. So anyway, let's go back in now. That was enough of a break. I'll leave the pinky in the hot water in between. Now he's still in the same position as he was. So let's get under him again. Give him a little bit of a tease around here. See, he's flicking his tongue a little bit. And he's coming round. I just give him a little poke. And I'm going to close him up again. And I'm going to wait just a couple of moments. And let him start figuring things out. I think as well, if you go in and get them while they're asleep, it's a little bit too much going on, and you miss the stages, and I think you can miss the opportunity there to learn what that individual animal is doing, how it's reacting, if you do that. That said, I do prefer to start off when the animal is asleep like this, because at night time I think they're a little bit too much on edge and too much of it's aggression, and it's a little bit overdrive, and I think success rates plummet a little bit that way. Once they're established, they'll feed any time, day or night. All of my animals will feed any time, day or night. So right, let's go back in. Let's see where he is now. He's turned around. He's still coiled. This guy usually helps me quite a bit if he uncoils. I'm just going to give him a little bit of a push in the coils here, a little bit underneath, and let's get him moving. Just give him these little touches on the outside coils, give him the opportunity to be aggressive straight off the bat. That looked like it was a bit of a swing. It was a little bit of a swing to nothing, but I'll close it up. See how he feels about that. He might think that's giving him the upper hand if I leave him now for just a few moments, not very long. You know, we'll see how we get on in the next one. In the next couple of visits I want to strike. I don't expect this one to strike and hold on immediately and have it. Quite often these strike and pull away and the pinky gets flung across the tub. It's absolutely fine, that's no problem. You just want to use that to sort of hone in and build up your accuracy, and once you've done that, your chance of getting him to feed go right up. Okay, so let's open him up again. There he is. Let's touch him on these outside bits here. There you go. He was turning towards it then a little bit. Give him a little bit of a slightly more aggressive. I think some people are surprised how aggressive you need to be with baby green tree python, especially with them being so delicate. And this guy can be a bit of a runner and will try and get away. He's up across the top of the tub here, which I think I'm aware is going to make him out of shot. Still, anyway, we'll close him up there. At the moment he's trying to run, he's trying to get away. So what I'll do is give him just a little bit longer, and hopefully he'll reposition himself. Sometimes it works while they're on the run, sometimes it doesn't. More often with this guy it doesn't work when he's just on the run. So if I just watch him a little bit, and I'll see if he repositions himself on the perch, and then we'll step things up, we'll ramp it up a little bit, and see if the blowing in the face technique helps. He's back along the front of his perch. He's not resting, but he's looks like he's trying to get a little bit more comfortable. Sometimes it works getting them on the hop as they're trying to reposition themselves. And see, I'm just blowing in his face there, and it makes him recoil a little bit. See if that helps. Try and get him on these outside coils. They tend to be the ones that work the best when you get them on the side of the neck. But you do need them to be slightly uncoiled to get that. There we go. Let's cut that one out a little bit. There we go. He made a little bit of a swing towards it then. Some of them, it's unusual, seem to not react when you touch one side of the body, but then do react when you touch the other side. Sometimes working from one side to the other helps as well. Going left to right, left to right. It's definitely getting a little bit more agitated. So we can get under these coils. That was a little bit of a turn towards it there. Give him a couple of seconds. I think by giving him a couple of seconds it sort of allows him to get out of whatever mode he's in at the moment that's causing him to not strike, and opens up, you know, the possibility that he might go on the next one. Now it might seem that it's a lot of messing around, opening, close, but I'm sure if you've struggled with green tree pythons before, you know how utterly frustrating it can be to spend 30 solid minutes doing this tease thing, touch, tease, and trying to chase them around the tub. I found that with the other babies, this technique got the reaction time down much, you know, to a much quicker sort of, a much quicker time. Right, now he's stretched out a little bit, which can be quite good. Still holding on with his tail, he's not running at the moment, he's... Let's see, he's making these little mock lunges at the pink. Now we've got him backed up a little bit here on this perch. We'll push him inwards a little bit, you might be able to see a little bit better. And he's away. Now's the time to, there we go, we got a tiny little strike there. Just close him up, give him a minute. And hopefully that little strike, tiny little nip, yeah, I don't even know if the camera caught it. I caught it, you know, at the corner of my eye on his recoil. His mouth was slightly open. Hopefully by leaving him alone for a moment, he thinks that's worked for him. So yeah, I've had this guy feed a couple of times by himself. And I'm hoping to increase the frequency of that and to get this time down a lot quicker, to the point where, you know, when I go in and touch him with something, it much more quickly gets that aggressive response. At the moment he's climbing up the side of the tub. I'll let him sort of try and find a perch again, and then we'll go back in and hopefully get a little bit of a reaction out of him, and then I'll see if the blowing in the face thing works with him. He's found his way to the top perch, but he's not getting himself in a strong position yet. I'll wait till he's got his tail up onto part of the perch at least, not just up the ladder, and once he's got a grip, we'll go in. We'll go at it again. Here he comes to the front, you can see him. But you can see how uninclined they are to strike, and that's what makes for difficult feeders. Babies, that the worst ones are runners, you know, the ones that will leap off the perch at the tiniest touch and won't strike. Ones that are difficult to strike, or to get striking, a particular challenge. Aggressive babies are what you want all the way. We'll open the tub and get him. See this little flick there, just gets him turning a little bit. Sometimes I find that wriggling them really fast like that, you know, gets a bit of a reaction out of them. Sometimes just a little touch on the nose can get a strike. Other times it makes them just recoil. Oh, there we go, a little shot with the mouth open there, and another. That's it, that's what we want. That's what you want. You want that little bit of aggression working for you. So again, I'll just give him just a couple of seconds, not long at all, and then we're back in and we're on it again. touch him up here. There we go. There we go. We're getting strikes now. That's what I would call more consistency. We were getting strikes there, but not the accuracy, not the predictability. So the next step that I would be using is that technique that I was talking about. A bit of a blow in the face to get them on edge, and then hopefully the next physical contact gets the strike. And if we can start getting those strikes a little bit more consistent, then we can move to putting the chick down on them, and hopefully then getting him to hold on. Here we go. There, he bit the head of it then. There we go. He bit it. There we go. He's coiled it. Didn't move into the next phase. Might not hold on to that. May well drop that, and we might have to go again. But fingers crossed, he's held on to that for quite a while. So I'm hoping, if we stay reasonably still, that he'll carry on eating that. I'll move the camera without disturbing him too much. I'll zoom in there. See, that's what you need. You need the accuracy. And with that one, then what happened was I was getting it by just gently nudging his snout with the snout of the pinky, which is ideal if that's what's getting the strike, because when you get that bite, it's going to be on the head of the pinky. So yeah, we didn't get to move on then to the blowing technique, but like you saw me trying it, it would have got him on edge. And it's that thing, you know, he's being moved by the wind, but there's nothing there. You might get a strike to nothing, might strike to thin air, but almost certainly the next physical contact with the pinky, almost wherever you touch him on the body, be it on the face, on the sides of the neck, on the back, on the tail, will get the physical reaction. You'll get that strike, and he's definitely going to eat that now. He's held onto it long enough, and I didn't even have to use the chick down, so that's a really good result. I'm really pleased with that one. But you can see, you know, how much time actually on him, provoking him and poking him and you know, for want of a better word, bullying him, that actually took. You know, if you go back through the video to all the physical contact we had with him, it's actually a very small portion of this video as compared to, say, opening up the tub and constantly pushing him and hitting him and poking him with the pinky. I honestly believe that sort of little bit of space in between is what amplifies, if you like, the reactions that you're getting. We try something different, they try something different, you know, and there you go, he's eating. So I really hope that you know, you find this video useful. Like I say, you know, I'm quite inexperienced with this, but when I had the babies going, I was about 8 or 9 weeks in to having the babies, and I'd only got, you know, a third of them, I think, eating. I found it very stressful, and I was doing long periods at trying it, and just by chance one day, I mean, I was trying all kinds with the stress. You know, I'd heard people listen to very soothing music. I think I'd heard, you know, one of the guys in America, it might have been Trooper Walsh, used to have a tap dripping to help keep him relaxed, and you know, I tried listening to soothing music, didn't work for me, you know, and just like I say, by chance one day I tried something, you know, I think I was getting a little bit of a reaction from one animal, and so I was closing his tub and trying others and then going back to him, and I found that doing that his reactions got bigger, and I think I even tried, you know, a blue in his face while I was waiting for the pinky to eat up, because, you know, I know that agitates snakes. I've seen many people do the same technique when they're trying to get a good photograph of a snake, you know, ready to strike, blow in the face, and I think I tried it while I was fishing a pinky out of the hot water, and I put it in front of him, and wallop, he took it straight away. And honestly, no word of a lie, literally within the next few days to a week, I had the rest of the animals feeding. That was the basis of the technique, you know, that I was learning, and the rest of it was learning each individual animal and coming to the realization that, yeah, striking, if you can get the animals to strike, that's a good step, that's a big first step, but it's the consistency and the predictability of the strikes that make the difference when you're getting them feeding. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and if you've got questions or comments, you know, this will be on YouTube and on some of the Facebook forums. Leave your comments, leave your questions, or, you know, message me directly. And thanks very much for watching.